Now this is our Survivor series, and today it's a very important principle, that of goal setting, setting goals for yourself or the team. So if you want to survive beyond enemy lines, you have to be able to set goals. Why would you want to do that? Because it will help you to be more successful, stay focused, and make the better decision in getting there. So a very, very important principle beyond just being able to reorganize yourself, have an inventory of what you have and try to understand your context. The next step will be to set a goal or goals and maybe objectives and milestones in achieving the outcome that you want. This is one of the key building blocks in survival, but it's also true of business and true of communities. The ability for people to set goals, even on a personal level, setting goals for yourself. Now, we know from research that when people do have goals and businesses do have goals, they are perceived to be much more happier. Well, that's good to know. But there's maybe a 50% chance for better performance also. So it's old stuff, Kali. This is really old stuff, setting goals, come on. Yes, but it's good old stuff. And I think this is really the point. In my own experience, when people do set goals for themselves, I can just see that they're better off, and that's about it. Now, in the ABC of goal setting, goals need to be specific and measurable and, put dates and time frames to it. I mean, that's all part of goal setting. I'm not going to spend time on that. But I want to give you the setting for why would you set goals? What's behind it? And there's three things that comes up in my mind. The one is, if you're in a survival situation and you have or want to get out of it, you have to create a clear picture, a clear direction of where you have to go and why. So where are we going and why are we going there? So that's a very important part of your decision. Just think of it. You're in a survival situation, you're part of an overland tour expedition in Africa, you're stuck, you can't get out of it. You clearly need to know where you're going now. What's the next step? And that needs to be well understood by everybody. The second thing you want to do is to make your intent clear. Not only you as an individual, but so the group. So the group must be very clear. And I need to help them or facilitate them if I'm the leader, so that what we want is clear, what we all want is clear. It is almost speaking from the heart. What is in the heart, at the heart of what we try to do? The point is, once you start pursuing that goal, that's your next step, that's where you're going. It's not really always a turnaround option. Yes, you can adapt, you can tweak it, you can change it. But once you've decided that this is where we go and this is why we do it, you need to be very clear. So you need to know where you're going and you need to make your intent clear. And then number three is you need to define the principles that's critical for our success. Yes, the values will also be important, listening to one another, having respect for one another, things like that. But the principles is critical. For example, and I know this is maybe not the best example, but it's a good example. You can go without oxygen not far. Well, that's not really an issue. In the survival scenario, you can go without food for many, many days. Many, many days. But what you cannot allow to happen is to run out of water. And if it's the hot Africa sun, as an example, and the temperatures are soaring around 40 degrees, 50 degrees, and you want to hike out of that circumstances, then some critical principles will kick in. The importance of water and where will you get it and how will you secure your water reserve becomes critical. When will you walk? What time of the day or night? And what does that say, for your water discipline? Now, this becomes then critical for your success. And you need to talk through it before you start, for example, walking. And you need to be very clear that walking away from where you are is indeed the better choice. Because we also know that from a survival perspective, that there are times when it's better to stay just where you are. And it's most probably true most of the time. Just stay there. People know where you are. They know, potentially they think they know what happened, and they will most probably find you. And they'll, at least we will not separate the group, and we don't have individual people getting lost in the African wilderness, and it might be a very unsafe space to be in. I don't want to add more to this topic. I just think it's important that you realize the importance of setting goals, and then the success of those goals is determined by the milestones, the steps getting there, and can I say the discipline to achieve that. In other words, quite often people fail. They fail in business, they fail in their communities, they fail in their personal lives, and they might have goals, but what they don't have is the discipline to pull it off. Those step-by-step processes. And then how will you measure? How will you know that you are making progress? How will you know what progress was made? How will you know how much further to go if you don't have some feedback? The irony is we might end up trying to over-organize it, and guess what? We don't need that many feedback loops in life. Generally, we don't. 1 or 2 feedback loops might be enough for you to keep the energy levels up, keep the motivation up, keep on going and keep on pushing a little bit harder. And then, of course, in goal setting, there's a very dynamic component, that of motivation and how we choose to communicate and how we choose to inspire. And that's a whole conversation on its own, but you cannot not understand how important that is. I think enough said. This principle in setting goals and then find a way to achieve those goals, measure the progress, but all in the context of the direction, where we go, why, but at the same time also the intent. What is it we try to achieve here? That need to be clear. There's a lot of motivation. It's almost, the mandate for us to go somewhere, the mandate to do something is embedded in the intent. Why? Why do we do this? Is this what we ought to do? And then, of course, think and talk principles. Those principles are solid. You can't fight them. Certain days, certain temperatures, if you don't have at least 1 liter or 2 liter water per day, you just won't make it. You're going to run out of, you're going to dehydrate. You're not going to make it. And that is even worse. Then maybe you should have stayed, where you were. And this is what I mean by the importance of value the principles behind the whole decision-making process. And for that, you've got a team. You're most probably not alone. So get the team involved and then see if you can make the better choice. What a principle, that of goal setting. We need that. And we need that in life. So this one, if I say smoke it in your pipe, I really mean smoke it in your pipe. Often people skip the importance of goal setting simply because they are with their backs against the wall and they just go blind. They don't realize that this is key to their success. So you have to smoke this one in your pipe.